Hello and welcome to another Talos Linux Install Fest. If this is your first time watching a video, welcome. Thanks for joining. I'm Justin Garrison. I work at Sodera Labs, creator of Talos Linux. And this video or this live stream is going to be setting up Raspberry Pis. And that's the whole point, is literally just we want to set up some Raspberry Pis to run a Talos cluster. And usually these have been done with new users, people who have never used Talos before, who want to install and create a cluster for the first time, get some hands-on experience with Talos, figure out how it works. This stream is going to be a little different because this is just me doing my own install on some Raspberry Pis. And so I am not a new Talos user. I'm not a new Raspberry Pi user. I blocked out my calendar so that I would do this. This mostly what this is an excuse for me to go ahead and do it. I still have one still in the box. I have one that has been unboxed. I have one that's behind me that has a case on it. They're in various states. I want to try a couple new things though, just as an experiment. We can see if we can get through some things. And to do the experimentation, I actually have Andrew here with me today, who Andrew is the creator of Talos Linux, definitely not a new user.
I'm doing so many different things, random things, day in and day out. I'm almost a new user now, which is sometimes a good thing and sometimes a bad thing.
It's fun when there's new things to try, right? You're like, I didn't know this worked yet, and now you get to try it. And so that is a fun thing as a quote unquote newish user. But I wanted you here to help me struggle through a couple things, which will be fun. But first, I actually need to get power and network plugged in right now. And I realized that I was going to do all of this from my desk, and I don't have enough network at my desk to do this. So I'm going to have to, actually, I need to figure out where I have enough network, because now at my bench right now, I have my cube is plugged in, and I just got a new KVM. That's a network KVM, and it's basically hogging all of my network ports. So I need to buy a new switch. I need some 8-port switches for sure. And of course, if you're buying these switches, I gotta get like 10 gig network, right, or something like that.
Yeah.
So I know I have this Raspberry Pi first. So what I'm gonna try here is I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. Actually, scratch that. I'm gonna show everyone where I start on a Raspberry. I'm gonna unbox this one, and what I do on all the Raspberry Pis is I use USB for the boot device. I don't use SD cards. And you have to do that through the imager. So I bought these SanDisk USB drives, which are great because they're USB 3. So I get USB 3 speeds, which is faster than what I'm getting on the SD card.
Are they small? Are they like little thumb? Oh,
yeah, they're just, if my camera will focus on a second, there you go. So they just, they're small-ish in there, so they're not taking up too much space. They work really well in cases, because sometimes the SD card on the bottom here is a little bit funny to get to. So what I'm going to do is I have the Raspberry Pi imager back here. And here's the thing that I discovered. Most of the time, they want you to do this through the Raspberry Pi imager to set your boot device. I know you can do it without this, but this is how they recommend it. So this is what I've been doing. So you basically go into select your device. These are 3 of these are Pi 4s. One of them is a Pi 5, which I wanted to try some things with. Which I don't know. I doubt it's going to work, but we're going to try. It's going to be fun. So there's, where is it? Miscellaneous utilities and images. And here's the bootloader for the Pi 4 family. So this is where you're setting what is it going to boot from. And I can say I want it to USB boot. So SD card, USB boot, network boot, which would also be fun to try. I was going to say we should try a network boot, but I don't have a Pixie server, and this doesn't do iPixie. And so I wish if network boot would let me burn an iPixie script to the NIC firmware. That would be awesome, because then I could put.
You don't want to set up TFTP and all that good fun stuff?
I do. I do want to do that. I just don't want to do it right now. So I'm going to select USB boots, and then I need to plug in this storage. And you do need to have an SD card for this initial step. So I'm going to choose that storage, my storage device. I think it's actually going to erase it, which is a bummer because I have some stuff on there. I have another install. I'm gonna go ahead and unbox this Pi because I have not changed the boot order for either of these other two Pis, and I do not want to plug in a USB or an SD card on both of them. I actually only have, I think, 2 SD cards left, and so if I want to do it for 3, I have more USB sticks. The Turing Pi with 4 Raspberry Pi CM4s. Yes, we do have people using CM4s for it with Talos, so that one should be okay. I want to get what's the new the RK Turing, the RK1, is that what it is?
The Turing Pi.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's I don't know why. I just want to get one. Like I have an NVIDIA Quadro card sitting on my bench right there, and I'm like, no, but I want the board. Okay, so now I have this USB boot is here. I need to let me unplug that safely. Oh, it already got ejected. We're good. So now the thing you have to do is you have to boot from this USB or this micro SD card by like once, and then it'll switch to USB mode. While it's doing that, I'm going to flash Talos to this other USB drive. Oh, what version of Talos do I want to put on it though? I'm gonna get a new. Because I'm trying some things and I don't need to go through the steps the first time. I'm gonna do this one through Omni, and I also like that Omni does something for me by default. Let me get my image over here. There we go. But I downloaded the wrong. I only downloaded the ARM 64 install media, so I need. I'm not ARM. I downloaded the AMD 64, so I need the Raspberry Pi image. Model B, we'll get 175. I'm not going to get any extra stuff there. We're going to flash that image while I go plug these in and boot them. And I was hoping that I'd have that KVM all set up, ready to go, so I could show the boot process on these, and I've been having some problems with it. I got all the firmware updated this weekend, but
we didn't want to make this too easy.
Yeah, okay, so I have a raw disk. Let's restore that disk. This is a 125.
That little thumb drive is 125 gigs.
Yep.
That's
pretty. And I think I got a 5-pack for like $25.
That is crazy.
I know, right?
Wow.
I don't think it shows the raw ones by default. Let's see. Is that the one that was right now? Metal, this one. ARM 64, 175. Yeah. Okay. So that's going to restore. Oops. Yeah, because I just bought the pack, and I was just like, I just need a bunch of them, and now I can have 2 of them, and that will boot both of these systems after I get this one booted the first time. Let me see where my other one's at too. Actually, that one's plugged into it. Oh, it's not. I don't have the network plugged into it. Let me see if I can get.
Those KVMs are giving you problems?
I mean, it's probably mostly user error because I've never used Raritan network KVM before. It has a HTML, has a Java-based KVM, which I don't want to use. It has an HTML-based one. And the HTML-based one needed the latest version. I couldn't get the version updated. But it turns out I had to go like specific point releases to get there because I bought it used on eBay, and the version that came with
upgrades like Talos, like
yeah. So it was like one. So I finally got it all the way updated this weekend. So now it loads for me and I can see everything. Where is it? Hold on, I'll pull it into the window here, so I can see everything. But now I need to plug in whatever this device is. Hold on, let me get network to it. I don't know what ports that. Oh, that must be the second one. One just showed up. Oh, but that's right. This is the Raspberry Pi. Because that case has a screen on it, it doesn't send, it only sends like the color display to the second monitor. So this one's not going to work, but I should be able to boot from this and see it. Let's see if that actually shows me video. One of the nicest things about this thing is the fact that all of the adapters are just network cables to like a HDMI port. Basically, I can have a drop at my desk, which is the goal. I just didn't get that far because I was updating firmware. No video still.
While you're setting that up, someone asked a question I can answer.
What was it?
I can a more involved one.
Oh yeah, there you go. Go ahead.
That should give you plenty of time, right?
You can do the medium version of the story.
Yeah, I'll give the medium version. I mean, really, there's a lot of reasons, I would say. How would I distill this down? So I was involved with moving a stack onto Kubernetes back in 2015 or 2016, and really what I noticed was that there was just a lot of overlap between my job as operations engineer that was responsible for deploying applications and installing Linux and, you know, everything that operations people do, and Kubernetes itself. You know, there was user management, there was hardening, configuration, so on and so forth. And so really the idea was simple. I just want the operating system to go away. I don't want to deal with Linux anymore, because in a weird, distorted way, you can kind of think of Kubernetes as this distributed computer. It's got the scheduling mechanism, and machines are really just resources that you add to this big computer that is the cluster. You need more RAM, you need more CPU, you need more disk space, you add another node. And I didn't feel like there was anything that really allowed that flow or way of thinking out there. And so it started off with just building the most minimal kernel possible and building the most minimal user space possible from the bottom up, even including the build system that was made. Like, you know, if you look at Talos, the way it's built, the C tool chain is built by us. Well, there's actually a tool chain that's built to bootstrap the tool chain so that it's completely independent. And then with that tool chain, you build Talos. So really the first part was just, can I create the most minimal operating system possible without any of the existing Linux distributions leaning on those at all? And that's kind of where it started. And along the way, you know, I was forced to make some decisions like removing Bash and SSH because I just felt like they weren't necessary. But we needed something in order to debug. So that's where the gRPC API was invented. And the strong security focus of Talos Linux came about because really, in order to forget about the operating system, it has to be extremely secure. Otherwise, you're not forgetting about it. So really, if I had to distill it down to one thing, it was just, let's get rid of the operating system so that we can focus on Kubernetes. And now we're trying to not get rid of Kubernetes, but make it so simple that you can focus on your business logic. That's the short version.
I thought it was interesting when we were working on that, sort of like going back and forth, the fact that you had kernel and kubelets, right? Like you got to that point where like, I can make it just kubelet PID 1, but then you had to like backtrack and you're like, well, this actually sucks. Like I can't operate this.
Yeah. It was very quickly realized that, yeah, that's a cool idea, but it's not practical. And some would even argue that Talos in its current iteration is not practical. I would call them haters, but whatever. So yeah, had to add the API to just make it so that you can figure out what the heck's going on when things go wrong, because they will go wrong.
Okay, I got one machine booted. That first one off the USB just worked. I don't know how to get the video display resolution to change or anything, but I think this is ready to go. It's just in waiting mode. I'm going to boot the second one. I need to boot it from USB or SD card first to change it to USB boot. And then is this finished flashing? This finished flashing. So then I plug in the USB and we should be set. Then I have 2 nodes. And right now I'm running into problems of not having enough power supplies that work with the Raspberry Pi 4s and 5s. Are very picky about how many amps they get.
Are they? Is it not just like USB powered type? Like,
oh gosh, like the Pi 3s, if you didn't have a 2 amp or 2.5 amp plug, was very much like, hey, like we're in clock down, all right, and they'd give you warnings and everything. Now they're like, we need 3 amps or you're out.
3 amps, that feels big for that.
So yeah, ring. You know, you would think, but I'm gonna see if I can boot this one. No, but I don't have. That's right, I need this network drop. I'm gonna plug. I have a Talos cluster right here above me that I'm gonna unplug and steal the network.
You're just surrounded by clusters. Just
the question is if the Ethernet long enough. There's really no point in cable management when everything gets unplugged once or twice a week. So
yeah, right.
Okay, so I'm going to plug in network here, and I'm going to get power from there. I'm going to do this with no video, no USB, and just hope that it all actually works. Yeah, okay, computer. Pi 4's very picky about that power. I bought like an official power adapter for one. A second one I bought like was just, you know, the right specs, but like it's still like you can get some cheap, low quality ones, and they're not going to give you the amps all the time. I do love that they're all USB-C now, though. That is just so helpful.
I'm glad the iPhone's USB-C now.
Dude, I can't wait. Well, I have a 16. I think 16 is the one coming out. I have a 12. I have an iPhone 12. So it's old enough. It still has Lightning, and I could use a camera upgrade. But also, like, I'm waiting for the 16 because the 15 was fine. I'm like, it's okay. But I'm kind of like, maybe I go back to Android. Android was more fun, but then also I just keep looking at it and like, you know what? I don't need most of this stuff. Like, what if I just get a dumb phone? Like,
you don't want to flash like some old cyanogen mod on it?
I don't need to relive that part of my my past. As much as I love working on-prem with computers again, I don't know that I need to reflash my firmwares on my phone. Yeah. What's in my mouth? So yeah, so I'm thinking of just like, there's like a resurgence of dumb phones coming around. What I really just want is like, I just want something that I don't even want a camera on it. I was like, but I want some navigation when I travel.
Yeah,
is like one thing. I was like, if I just had navigation and what's the new message format that Apple's adopting now?
there's a new format.
It's in Android, and lawsuits forced Apple to do it, and I think it's great. But it's like iMessage for everyone kind of thing. It just gives better pictures and longer messages and all that kind of stuff.
It's not simple message, whatever, SMS.
No, it's called something else, and I'm completely blanking on the name right now.
You might want to check out Minimal, or what's it called, Light Phone.
You got one, right?
Yes, but
RCS.
I canceled it. RCS. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. I canceled it. They came out with the Light Phone 3.
I know. But it's well, it's not. They didn't come out with. They announced it, right?
They announced it. So yeah, so I canceled.
Oh, okay, because you didn't get it yet. That's the
Yeah,
good call.
exactly.
Yeah. And that one is getting close to like it
It's
gives you
almost-
just enough, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not a distraction, it's a utility, and I want it to stay a utility.
Exactly.
Okay, so I booted this machine and the lights flashed. So I'm assuming the bootloader changed. So I'm going to pull power on it, plug in my USB, and all I have now is I got the USB and networking. So we should be, I'm doing it off camera here. Oops.
You got one node booted now?
Yeah, one node's here on my screen in Omni because these are all just booting back to Omni. So I'm just going to like dangle this right on my desk while we
Maybe
do.
we take this for granted now. Something like Omni.
Right. Like I don't need to see anything that's going
Turn
on.
it on.
Yeah. I was like, does it have power and network? Yeah, you're good. Like it's probably going to be fine. So as soon as that shows up here, that'll be the second one. The third machine here in the case, I think I need to reflash it because I don't know what happened to the install, but I know it already boots from USB. So I don't need my SD card. I just need to reflash the USB drive. All right. Which again is just I enjoy the USB boot. I know the NVMe boot on the Pi 5s is a lot faster, but also like it would be a pain to have to like, especially in something like this in this case. This case doesn't have an SD card slot.
Wait,
so it's like
the 5 has the NVMe?
Yeah.
Is it like what's the protocol that it interfaces with? Is it some
It has it's PCIe.
Oh, it is PCIe.
Let me see. I get my camera.
Oh, cool.
This is a PCIe right here on the top.
Wow.
So people have NVMe adapters that just stick on top, and you get an M2
Cool.
PCIe. So you get actual decent read-write speeds.
That could be a real game changer for the usefulness of.
It's been fascinating. So look up what's his name, Jeff. Someone help me out in chat. You does a lot of YouTube videos about Raspberry Pis. He has some really cool like
I think
storage systems.
Super popular one, right?
Yeah. He has some cool storage like NAS options.
Jeff
He
Geerling?
shows off. Yeah.
I want him to use Talos. He did Kubernetes, didn't he? Or he uses it?
He does, yeah. He is a very big Ansible user. He was like big in Ansible for a long time. I have left some comments to ask him, if he's interested. Let us know. But I know he definitely has a lot of Ansible experience and Red Hat stuff. So what was I doing? Oh yeah, booting.
I'm probably being more of a distraction on this stream than helping.
It's all right. It's conversation, so it's good. So I don't know what state this USB device was in, so I'm just going to reflash it. This Pi 5 raw, restore. Once that restores, I can boot this one, and I will have, hopefully this one comes up. Oops. Hopefully this other machine comes up soon. Oh, wait. My network's not plugged in. It's not going to come up if I don't have a network. There it goes. Hey, look at that. Pops up right when I plugged it in. It's waiting for me. The compute blades. What are are those the
Googling that? I don't know what that is.
Are those the CM4 compute blades? Like they have like adapters for those, right?
It looks like it. Ooh, that looks cool. Oh wow. The chassis on that's pretty slick. You can get pretty dense with it. Dang.
Yeah, that's the one. No consent. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, those look cool.
That looks really cool.
It's like as much as I don't use the Raspberry Pis for any actual work, they have a lot of really cool things to plug them into. Picker, it didn't happen. Yeah.
I want to see that thing.
All right, so once I plug that one in, I'm going to go ahead and start this cluster install, because why not? Pies 175. One control plane, one worker. I have no idea which one is which. Okay, so that's going to go. That's starting its install. I'm waiting for this USB drive, and then that's right. I wanted to do the Pi 5. So the thing that I found out. So news, Andrew. I think I told you this. The Talos is going to be a option here inside of the default Raspberry Pi imager.
That's cool.
So there's a where's the other specific purpose OS is the category it's going to be under. You'll be able to go here, and there'll be Talos Linux will be an option in an upcoming release. So you'll be able to do the Talos flash to a USB drive directly from the imager, which is just really nice. It's super handy to have.
I mean, at one point Talos being accepted by Raspberry Pi into their official installer, that's
fun. And it's cool that they're open having, specific, like they have these other operating systems in here that have specific use cases. And it's like Talos is just a Kubernetes distro. Especially if you're new to Raspberry Pi 2, like you don't have to make everything difficult. And so if we can get into that sort of like default flow for people, even better. So that it is going to be in there. They told us they're going to accept Talos as an OS there. The other thing that, as I was discussing, because I mentioned that we only support Raspberry Pi 4s right now because we depend on U-boot. And they mentioned, they're like, oh, actually, it does work without needing a shim layer. The bootloader can load the Linux kernel without a shim.
Oh, really?
And I was like, what? I did not know that. And so if I get, I don't know which drive I just flashed. Let me get another one. Wait, let me flash one at a time so I don't get them confused. Okay, this one is done, and I can go boot it. And this will give us a new node in the cluster. As soon as I find what power I have. Oh, I can. Oh man, now I'm running out of USB-C cables. Better than running out of micro USB. Okay. Let me find this real fast. While that's going, I'm going to go. This is for a Raspberry Pi 5. So what I had to do, and I'm going to show you this. This is something that didn't work for me, but I'm going to try it again. So Raspberry Pi 5, 64-bit OS. I'm going to use the standard OS edit settings. Sure. Yes. So what I did, and this worked for me, but it didn't work all the way. I flashed the Raspberry Pi OS, and then I replaced the Linux kernel, initramfs, and command line with straight out of Talos. Like just got the raw files, put them on the USB drive, and it booted. It booted into Talos. And I was like, this is amazing. This worked. The downside, or the thing that didn't work for me, was there was no network. So there's a network driver somewhere that isn't getting loaded. And I was like, oh, I wonder if I can get the Talos with an extension that might, like, I'm going to try the USB modems, because that has worked for me on USB NICs before. So I'm going to grab that extension and then get that kernel and see what happens.
I'm curious why. Well, I wonder if they upstreamed any like networking stuff that we would need.
So I know one of the things that we wait for typically is for the LTS kernel to have supports, and that's why the Pi 5, we don't expect upstream video card support for the Raspberry Pi 5 until the LTS, I think it's 612 kernel. Wow. And that's supposed to come out next year. And so that's one of the things we've been waiting for, that like, hey, the Pi 5 is probably not going to work for these things. U-boot is a shim for booting things, and I think it does some of that driver emulation stuff. I don't actually know how U-boot fits in there, and I don't know how the Raspberry Pi kernel grabs network drivers from this default boot partition that it has.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go plug this in and then swap out those USB 5s. This is the Pi 5. So we're going to try the Pi 5 once I get this one plugged in. The other thing I wanted to do that maybe we could try, but we don't have to. Oh, we're already half hour in. Yeah, we probably won't get to it. I have a project I've been working on. This right here, hold it close to that camera. There's the focus. This is a network switch. It's a 1-inch gigabit network switch. The interesting thing is it has no interfaces. It has this little plug on the back, and you buy different interfaces for it. So this is a project that I'm working on to make a very tiny Raspberry Pi or just in general cluster. So this is my interface plug that I got. Oh, come on, camera focus. It'll get there. There it goes. So it has the other adapter, and then it has just like these jacks on it, and then just RJ45. And so this is a project I'm working on. So they actually, it's really nice engineering. It's meant for like robotics. Actually, these are for like embedded robotics. Cool. So you snap the two together, and that gives you your switching logic and your interfaces.
Wait, that's a whole switch right there. That's
the whole switch.
That's crazy.
Oh, come on, focus again.
How many gigs?
It's gig. So they have a 100 meg switch. Here, let me actually have a second one. Hold on. These all came in the mail like a week ago. And so I've been meaning to test them out. This is a different. So the first one was made by a robotics company. They're really awesome. Bot blocks. Bot blocks. I wanted some of these for a builds. So they sent me some to test out my build and make a couple of videos on my personal YouTube channel for them, because I was like, this is an awesome switch. This one. This was from a robotics team. A high school robotics team made this switch. So they're straight high schoolers built this. This is a 10100 switch, so it's not gigabits. So the nice thing about the 10100 switch is each plug only needs 4 pair. It only needs 4 wires. You don't need all 8 for 100. But they sent me, I found this one on Reddit, I think. And I was just like, oh, that's really cool. And they just like, high schoolers like, hey, we made these switches. Anyone want some? We'll just send you one for like, it's like $15. And I'm like, that is pretty awesome. I was like, I wish I was that.
Live stream. That would be fun.
Yeah. So I bought this one mainly because it was cheap. I don't know what I'm going to do with this one yet, because I wanted gigabit networking for my other builds. But this one, because it's gigabit, does have all 8 pairs twisted in the Ethernet jacks. So I need to have, all pairs ready for that. And I have 3 of these switches. I'm going to build a little stack of
power.
One, I was actually reading that before this live stream. This is just red and black. Their manual says there's 2. It's 5 volt to 60 volts. You can set. I was like, that's a big range of voltage to send. I was like, just like pick a number in between 5 and 60. And if you want to send more, then it's gonna probably like 65 will probably fry it. I'm like, well, yeah, like that's a lot. And so, but it's meant for robotics. And they're just like, yeah, if you want to send 5, you're fine. If you want to send 12, we'll figure it out. And so they must have some voltage regulator on here that can handle that range. But they give you 4 wires, and I don't know why there's 4 wires, because it's just 2 are red and 2 are black, and it's like, yep, that's the positive, that's negative. I'm like, but do I need all 4? So I have my power supply next to me, so if I get this Pi 5 ready to go, then I was going to try to boot that and see if I can't plug something into there. Is it PoE? No, these do not send PoE over the Ethernet jacks. This is just gigabit networking. I mean, come on, it's a 1-inch switch.
With 65 volts though, that could have been cool.
That is true. Like yeah. Okay. Did this other one already finish writing? I bet it did, huh? Where did that go? Writing 75%. So I'm going to boot this. Hey, by the way, pro tip: if you have a kid and they need something to do over summer, I paid my son, I think it was 25 cents per power brick to put a label on there of what the voltage and amps is, because I'm also getting old enough that some of them they just wore off, right? Like I can't see anymore, and some of them I was just like, yeah, this font's too small, I don't want to see that. And so now I have a label on all of them, and I think I paid him like $4, and I got all of my power bricks labeled, and it was a great use of.
Is that the digital labeling thing, or is it like the manual punch one that you got to squeeze? I love the manual ones. They look super like old.
Go buy yourself a digital one. This is it's also a good use of, my kids have a good time of just like printing out emoji and labeling things with poop.
Wait, you can print emojis in it?
This one, yeah, the digital one can.
That's crazy.
Okay, now let me find a USB-C cable that I can use for this power. There we go. Man, this thing's thick. I'm sure this one would hold 65 volts. Oh, but now I'm out of network ports. That's where my other problem was.
What do we have online right now?
I only have 2 online. Well, I mean, I have my cubes plugged in right now, and it takes one from up here. Oh, and the KVM takes one, because I only have I have a 5 port over there. One's the uplink. That's 1, 2, 3. Wait, I'm missing one. There should be one more over there. This one has everything plugged into it because I stole that. I don't think I have another switch out here.
You got to pull out the spreadsheet and see your.
I know. I used to have a spreadsheet for it. I need to just buy, like I said, 8 port, 2.5 gig or 10 gig.
Yeah.
Oh, Indigo, you meant powered by PoE. No, so the power, it doesn't have a. Yeah, no, it just takes that 5 volts. So I haven't actually turned it on yet. But it has a separate plug for it. I'm definitely missing a network cable though. I know I should have another one. I think I'm gonna unplug the cube for now because I'm not actually using it, and I don't think the install worked. So I'm gonna unplug that. Let's see where it's at. Oh yeah, this failed. I don't know why it's missing the. Why is it trying to pixie boot? No. And is this one going? No video. Okay, yeah, I'll unplug that. All right. If I don't even know if my cluster says not ready, and I was having this problem on Pi 4s before, that they wouldn't fully provision. Console logs.
Yeah.
Refreshing pod says has prevented. No proxy?
We probably need to drop into kubectl and
see what it's doing. Because I was having that problem before, and I was like, oh, I gotta dig into that sometime. So let's grab it real fast. What do I call it? Did I call it Pi? Cluster? Pies. I have this alias that I made just for export. I have an EK that I've used forever, which exports my kube config. So I have an exports Talos config and export Omni config now. And one of the nice things is it just does FZF to like search my Talos config directory, but it also will search my local directory. So I can do that, and then I have it, and it's
cool.
very nice. Although I need to know what my node IPs are, or I can do it by name, can't I? Oh,
I think
I didn't rename them.
Oh, I need to grab a charger from my laptop.
Real LSM have an issue where Talos configures gets an IP address. You receive a configuration and Talos doesn't get an IP address. I've had this problem on my node that's literally right here above me. It's the only one that I've seen it on. And for me, what happens is once I apply the config the first time, it does the install. When it tries to reboot and do a kexec, the kexec comes back without an IP address. And so the hardware, what I found out was the hardware doesn't fully initialize. It releases the IP address, but it doesn't renew it. And so what I had to do was actually in my BIOS of that machine, I had to tell it like, don't ever had a setting for like pre-boot environments wait time or something like that. I just disabled it because looking in the manual, it said that it would try to renew the IP address, but it would wait longer. I helped someone else do something similar, but for them, the problem was just like we told it in the config, don't ever kexec, always do a full reboot. And once the node fully reboots, it was working. So I don't know if that's helpful, but those are the two times that I've seen it, and the things that we did to fix it was one was a BIOS setting for me, and the other one was they just always told it don't kexec. I think I picked the J3A. Oh, I did E twice. No? Did I not get the right? Oh, it is called Talos config, right?
Was there another one in there already in your?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's double check. No. Oh, you know what? I bet it is only by node name. Where'd it go? I want a copy button there. That's one of the PRs I've been meaning to do. It's like I want to be able to just click a button instead of highlight. See if that one works. There we go. Oh, and I've had that one before too. We were just talking about this last week, or I saw someone in the community talking about it. You were on vacation, so you didn't see it, but I saw someone with that problem. Is it different if I go here and grab the Talos config?
I wonder if the kube config will work.
Try both.
You can pinpoint it to a specific API.
EK, pies, and ET. Why is it not opening the... It should be opening...
The browser.
Okay. There's the browser. That's for kubeconfig. Okay, so the
here
Kubernetes isn't up. That's for sure. I can't get to the API server, but I also cannot get to the Talos endpoint.
Everything here is correct. Kind of Just to double check it.
102.
Okay.
I wasn't using the IP address in the commands. I was using the node name.
I think you'll need to use the address for now. I know we have some new DNS features.
That one gives me this other error.
Signed by unknown authority.
Because I had this IP address used before. Right? Or is it because is it reusing?
Wait, hold on. You're doing 102. Isn't it 106?
No, it's 2. It's 6 102.
Okay.
Let me try the other one. This is 101. So if I go, and it's not a control plane node, but same problem.
Try setting the E to 101 as well. I don't know if it'll work actually, but since it's a worker now.
Oops, that's not what I'm using. Nope.
Signed by unknown authority. Okay, that's super strange.
Here. Let me give you access.
Let me put my dog down.
Here you go. Now you can log in.
All right. Let's see.
You can help me troubleshoot while I try to get that Pi 5 up and running. This one does finish? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that did finish. And what I want to do is go to factory. Nope, I want bare metal machine. 175 ARM. And I want USB modem drivers. I should go home here, get my kernel parameters, do that off screen because there is a join token. And now I want the kernel image, kernel command line, and init RAM. So I'm downloading those things and I'm going to replace them on that drive. There's my boot FS. Now, one of the things they told me that there's should be a extensions folder, which there isn't. Okay. So I'm going to ignore what I think they said there.
192.168.6.102.
6.102. Yep. 101 and 102. Here's my kernel command line and init RAM. And for the Pi 5, I need to use this name. Oops, don't do that. Nope. Just rename. Ah.
I'm getting an IO timeout. Did the machine reboot? 102.
Wait. I don't know which one this is.
Okay.
Say. I don't think I can scroll up on it. I don't think they rebooted.
Okay.
Init RAM. What? I already have a file named that. Oh, because I tried this before. Those were the other ones. Delete. This one I think is called kernel image 2712.img. I think this is just command line text. Nope. Text. Okay. Now let's try to replace those.
Oh.
Replace all of them. Again, I have no idea if this is going to work. We're going to try it.
Oh, interesting.
Did you get something?
Yeah, but it's going to the wrong browser now. Hang on. I hate that it opens up a browser automatically. I use Chrome for work and Safari for personal. It's going to Safari.
So that jump between them is always fun.
Yeah, I got to figure out how to trick this. So give me a second.
You can do the skip open browser in your config.
In Talos config? Talos.
Yep. Wherever it no, that's only for Cube config because that's for the Cube OIDC.
I don't think we support something like that in Talos ETL yet.
Yeah,
which is unfortunate.
Okay, I have this one, Pi 5. Let's see, where'd my thing go?
Oh, drop the E. Try that. Try dropping the -E, which is new to me.
Just the node?
Yeah, I get an IO timeout when I have -N and -E, but it actually tries to open up the browser when I do -N only.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not quite sure why that's the case.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Under voltage detected. Look at that. It doesn't like so that's probably the one that's on my computer on my desk right now because that does have a lower voltage adapter. Let me get a better where did that go? Here they are. Okay. Oh, these are all 2 amp. I need a 3 amp. Hold on. I know I bought a pack of larger power supplies that should have 3 amps. And I'm sure they got plugged in somewhere they don't need to be. Okay.
Never have been with power supplies.
I know. Yeah, okay. I just unplugged that one. 101.
So this gets us access, but it doesn't fix the not able to bootstrap still, right? You still got cluster.
I mean, I don't know if under voltage, like if it was
oh, that might be, yeah.
work.
Yeah, that could be it.
Okay. I needed one more USB-C cable right here, but I need another power adapter that has enough power. Oh wait, I got it. Yeah, this is the 3 amp one. I saved it for the Pi 5. Okay. So what can I unplug?
I just saw something go dark. Oh, that okay. It's just shine. Okay, it's on a. It's blinking slowly.
Okay, let's get back to this. I should have a new one here. This should be that. Oh, where'd it go? There it is. Okay, this is the Pi 5, 8 gig Pi 5.
Oh, that looks cool. What's the little QR code for?
They have like a debug thing, I think. USB boot requires high current. It needs 5 amps? Oh my gosh. What? Now I need new power adapters. All right. Wait, I got a laptop power. That does like that.
Is it 5 volts?
We'll see what it does.
Is it a 5-volt power?
To disable this check, set USB max current enable. Or press the power button temporarily.
If you have more volts, and it's
I know, right? Who on earth owns a 5-volt, 5 amp? That is so many amps in no voltage. Dude, it worked. Okay, so this is where I got before, and I get no connectivity. So I put my Omni config in it for boot config. So this is again, it's a Pi 5. I won't get it here in machines because I won't get any network connectivity. So it's not loading network drivers. And this is with the USB extensions. So I did try that one. My other thought here was I wanted to try the Talos 1.8, but Talos 1.8, we have U-boot. We have the new U-boot in Talos 1.8, and I did want to try that again because I could also just be like, if I use the straight, maybe U-boot works. But I think that one only works with SD card booting. But I'm going to go through and try it. Okay, so ARM64. I have Talos 1.8 selected. I'm not going to do any firmware. I am going to customize it for Omni again. And let's get this image. But wait, I don't want the image. I just want the kernel command line in init. And then I got to unplug it again. So yeah, so I do get like drivers and things or the machine is booting. We're getting somewhere. And that was where I was trying to experiment. And this is still not ready.
Yeah, that's strange. I'd want to look and see what pods are running in the kubelet logs. If we
API D to be up. So this isn't the control plane node, right?
Okay, you did. Yeah, that's 101.
Yeah, 102 is the. They're running.
You're okay. It seems really delayed.
Oh yeah, sometimes the screen gets very much out of sync. There we go. This is dashboard on 102. Yeah, I'm on 102. It's waiting for the control plane. Let's get health on it.
There's a static pod error.
Waiting for etcd.
Can you do teloctl services? Was etcd running? Or get services?
Fail. There you go.
etcd failed.
Oh, etcd.
This is the one that had the undervoltage?
No.
Okay.
Applied index is now lower than read state. That doesn't look good. But that's info, warn. Where are the errors? Here we go. These are context deadline exceeded.
I wonder if you can just reset this node.
Support is closing. And I am wondering, because I thought originally I was having problems with just really slow read writes.
Yeah.
And it just was timing out on that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Which is one of the reasons I went with USB over USB 3.
I have a 3-node control plane running Raspberry Pis in the other room on SD cards, and it's just fine. In fact, it's been running since Omni at one point was actually called Argus, ARGES.
Argus?
Yeah, Argus was the blacksmith that helped create Talos, or like something to that effect. He was what was he? It's been a while. He was a Cyclops. But yeah, he was a blacksmith. So the idea was that Argus would create Taloses. So not a very catchy name, though.
I would definitely spell that one wrong.
There's actually two. There's Argus and Argus. Argus was a Titan, I think, and he had like eyes all over his body, and he would like watch things. It's made it more confusing. I've actually, yeah, I won't go down that rabbit hole.
Okay, I'm moving these in here so I can keep them separate. This 1.7, 5 USB. And that was these. I'm just trying to keep some of these in a place I can remember. But I got to rename these again. Where's that config text? Config text. What was it called? Power? No. It had a setting that it said I could disable. But I'm going to have to go look on Amazon after this for some 5 volts, 5 amp configuration. Power.
Have a whole electronics workbench. The linear PSUs that you can like dial in exactly how many amps and everything.
That's what.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to use for the Switch. I'm going to have to go find that again. Okay. But let's rename these and copy these over. This is what I say. This is 1.8. Nope. Cindyline.text.
What does this do?
Init RAM. This is how I was booting it on, because I flashed the USB drive with the standard Raspberry Pi OS image, and all I had to do was replace. So they have an init RAM FS8, which is for the Raspberry Pi 4 boards, and this init RAM FS 2712 is for the Pi 5. So that's what it tries to boot.
Got
And
it.
then same thing with the kernel. There's a kernel 2712.image is how it boots the kernel. So it just grabs files straight from the boot partition.
Okay.
And so I'm just replacing them with Talos. And it's like, well, that's all we got. Yeah. So I don't even need like all the root FS. Like we don't need any of that stuff. Whatever. So whatever the driver is for the NIC is probably in here. But I don't have a way, like, I don't know how to configure it to tell it like, oh yeah, by the way, use this driver, load this thing. Those are things that's like, oh, it'd be nice to be able to have something like that. But if not, make it some other sort of extension that we grab those files and put it in there.
Pretty sure we can make this standard eventually. I would.
That would be the goal, right? It's like, we don't need U-boot because the U-boot cycle of like, we need to add support for it is taking a while.
Yeah. You would think that would be pretty fast, considering how popular Raspberry Pi is. But,
TQLK, that's exactly what I'm trying to. I'm trying to just get a Pi 5 booted. It boots, but there's no network. So that's one of the things we're trying here. That says it's still, oh, it's not ready. But I bet etcd is running okay now.
It is?
It says it is. Dashboard.
Right. Cluster should be good then. What did we do differently?
I just rebooted it. All I did is rebooted it.
Yeah, that's one of
it's still not ready.
I wonder if the etcd law is
it's waiting for
okay.
It was permission denied. That's not right. So I'm going to let that go in the background. Let me get back over to this. It probably wants me to push the power button again. What does it say? USB max current enable 1. I gotta remember that one. USB max current. We'll just bypass that. USB max current enable. It's not even a setting in here. Okay. So they don't have it documented.
Sounds like our docs.
We just throw an error at the console and let someone figure it out. That's
pretty obvious. I mean, we're telling you.
Oh, now it didn't come up at all. For Pi 2? Oh, I'll read that later. Okay, so this one didn't come up at all. So that's not cool.
That's worker? That's 101?
No. This is, so back here is my actual cluster that should be running in the background right now. This one just says not authorized. Waiting for nodes in my health. Oh, no, it's etcd, consistent across all nodes. It's waiting for etcd. No, there it goes. All nodes finish boot sequence, all Kate's nodes to report.
Can you do a logs kubelet? Unable to register node. Okay.
Unable to write event. Node has, oh yeah, reason. Node has sufficient memory. Node. I don't know.
It can't write it because it has sufficient memory.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming it can't write it because like etcd is failing. So my other thought, well, wait, this is through USB. If I switch this one back to an SD card, it probably works. So even though all of the stats that I see say USB is faster, there's probably something in the Pi chain where the way it boots is causing some slowness here.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, like I said, I've been running a Raspberry Pi cluster for the last over a year now off of Omni and SD cards.
Okay, now let's go back to that SD card and let's flash.
You're just gonna DD from because it has to get big and everything, right? So you'll need to.
I'll restore that. Oh, do I have? Wait, yeah, I have it. I have the raw 175 ARM64. Because this will definitely let me know if we even want people to run these on USB. Because I thought that USB, because they actually make on the Pi 4s, they made USB to SSD adapters because they're like USB's faster, blah blah blah, and you don't get like NVMe PCIe speeds, but it was all supposed to be faster than an SD card. So I'm just going to go back in here and let's destroy this cluster. And this is my favorite thing about Omni with the Raspberry Pis is like if I do this with straight Talos, I have to keep going back and forth and like reflashing the drives because it does wipe it. In this case, we're just wiping part of the partition, right, and rebooting so that Talos is still installed. I don't worry about that. Yes, exactly. TQ, considering the Pi boots from the GPU, which I did discover and was like, what?
I know that's what happens.
Yes, it boots from the GPU and the GPU loads that folder basically. The GPU is the first thing that gets initialized and then boots the disk. So yeah, there's nothing normal about a Pi boot sequence. The fact that any of this works at all is pretty amazing. Okay, so I'm going to wait for these to go back into a state, but I'm also going to delete whatever one is at my desk right now. I don't remember what this one is. I'll just unplug it and then we'll figure it out. Which one goes disconnected? That's the one that we'll delete. Oh, I forget how long is the timeout on that disconnect. We'll see. Okay, so back to my Pi 5. That definitely didn't boot. Let me go try a straight up. Oh, but that's my SD card. Dang it. I only have one SD card that's big enough, I think. Wait, I have an 8 gig here. We'll see if this 8 gig is big enough. Okay, did this finish writing? It did? Okay, yep. Eject that. This one is the 8 gig. It says it's 200. What? Well, I have no idea what's on this. Oh, it's the, okay. It's a Raspberry Pi bootloader restore image. Okay, so I'm going to go grab the factory. I'm going to get the straight SBC builds of the alpha because that does include U-boot. And I'm just going to try booting that. Where is kernel parameters? Next. And
we should fix the factory. We called SBC's small board computer. I think it's single board computer.
I believe you're right.
I'm going to create an issue for that.
Okay, and let's go back to the machines here. Which one is disconnected? Dang it, they're both still connected. Oh, because it's trying to destroy this cluster. Just go away. Now that I have it, I told it to boot from USB. I think it still falls back to SD card if USB fails. But we will have to we have to see if that actually works. Because that I am unsure of. And I don't have a monitor here to verify this. So we will come back to it. I have now downloaded this, which is my new raw image, which is Talos 1.8. Raspberry Pi. I'm going to flash that to this 8 gig storage. This is the last thing I'm going to try. This one.
All right. File an issue.
There you go. That's all these streams are for. They're just for opening tickets.
Yeah.
Would it be possible to boot Talos from the network on the Pi and then persist it to disk? Yes. That was one of the things that I wanted to eventually show off. Where is
A bit of a pain though, right? I mean, the last I remember it.
Yeah, I mean it's not super straightforward. You have to have some TFTP server and on your network, but you can say Raspberry Pi 4. You can go into the utility images bootloader and change them to network boot. And so that would change the BIOS on the BIOS, whatever, the configuration on the Raspberry Pi to boot to the network first. So if you have TFTP running on your network, it will try to pixie boot on that. One of the nice things about that is like you can have it try to pixie boot every time, and then you can point it to a chain load script that goes to the factory, to Image Factory, because Image Factory gives you a iPixie endpoints that will then download the kernel image that you want. So to get them booted the first time, yeah, you could do that. You would still do an install and have them keep their configuration on disk. So every time after that, they would still go to the network. You just have to tell the network, don't actually pixie boot this. Like, right, that just needs a fail over to say like, nope, I don't have anything for you, and go back to disk. That's what hopefully it would do. If that's actually what it would do, I don't know. Oh, look it. This says it's 32 gigs now. That's good news because that's my SD card device. Yeah, and there's my MMCB. Okay. I don't have a cluster again. I'm going to try create Pi's 2. I'm just going to name it something different so I don't conflict with names. And I'm just going to say that one device should be control plane. Hey, I'll just do that work because the worker worked. I'm going to rename it to Desk Pi because it's the one that's sitting right here. Then I know which one it is. And this one is Bench Pi. Bench. Save. Create. Now we will see if etcd, because it did not spin up with this USB drive. And again, this was like I bought a decently fast SanDisk USB 3 drive.
I am not going to be surprised if this works on the. I recall seeing people in our Slack workspace have problems with the USB stuff before.
Would not be incredible. Okay, so it did my flash. This flashed finished, and this is straight up Talos Alpha image with Raspberry Pi. So that is going to go back into the Pi 5, which is this console right here. And this time I'm not USB booting, so maybe I don't get the power error.
Oh yeah.
There's our U-boot logo, but this is all I got last time. I didn't go past U-boot. Wait, is it? It's not showing for you.
Nope.
Well, there it
Now
goes.
I see it.
Yeah, this is all I get.
It doesn't refresh the frames or something, huh? After, unless you do something.
Yeah, the StreamYard's trying to save bandwidth for us. So yeah, this is using the newest U-boots, which is from July of this year, and it's supposed to have support for SD card booting from the Pi 5. At least that's what I saw in their change logs. It's only SD card booting, and this shows that it did boot from the SD card because I pulled the USB drive, but it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work with Talos on U-boot. So I don't know if anything else would work with U-boots in this case. But yeah, I still don't have Pi 5s. I have a Pi 5 can boots and have no network drivers off of USB replacing the kernel, or I have it U-boot and it just sits here. I don't have a Pi 5 that image that works.
Is the cluster coming up at least?
Let's see. Where am I? Did I call it Pies 2? I think.
Good.
Wait. It's gonna put it in there. I don't want that. Oh boy. Oh, well, does it have the same IP address? That's right. Now it's called Desk By. It's 103 now. Control plane. Oh, what? Cluster. Oh. Oh, it has the wrong cube config. There it goes. Hey, look at that. It's healthy.
Sweet. All right.
Everything worked just fine.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I don't know. They claim that it's faster and better, but I have yet
So there's some other problem.
Yeah, there's something
That's
going on. I've yet to see someone who's actually been like, yeah, it's really good.
And you know what? Like this also, well, some of these other issues aside, that case that I'm using doesn't have an SD card slot available outside of the case. So I don't have an SD card in there because every time I want to, I have to unscrew the whole entire thing. Yeah. Which is a bummer. I gotta figure out why. Yeah, but there is something with etcd does not like the USB drives specifically.
Yeah,
because I remember seeing write errors before.
Feels like some IO.
There's some speed problem
issue. Yeah.
It just is. Maybe it's a. Well, that could be like an F sync because it's USB. It waits and it doesn't get.
Yeah, maybe.
All right. Well, but that works, and now this cluster is work. So hey, we set out what we wanted to do, right? Is we wanted to. Oh, that's interesting because this one's still not available. That's at 104. This one's booted off USB still.
It is. Okay.
Kubelet's not up.
It looks like it's up. That
Yeah.
was transient errors.
That says, yeah, that might just be
sequence done. Getting node not, it says node not found. Which is not strange necessarily, because the kubelet's going to sit there and like try to get its own self for a while. It takes it a minute or two.
No request forwarding. Oh, I gotta go through the other node.
I don't think you need E with Omni, but you can try it.
How does that? Okay.
Yeah, try dropping the E. And just do health. Try that.
That's this command. And I get this permission denied.
Okay.
Services say okay. Kubelet's running. Health check successful 4 minutes ago.
Control plane's up and healthy. The worker node is not.
The worker node's not. And the worker node's still on USB, which is why I was still kind of curious about it.
Could you look at the kubelet logs on the worker node?
Getting nodes. It can't find my node.
Yeah, and that's the kubelet's job to register that node. So
Kubelet nodes on here or logs.
yeah, I would be curious to see what the kubelet is logging.
Network not ready. Oh, CNI. Oh, is it? It's trying to run CNI. So if I get kubeconfig pies 2, is that not what I typed?
You did cub config.
Oh, I did, didn't I? Cub. It was even helping me, and I was still ignoring it. Initializing, yeah. So it doesn't. It's not ready because it doesn't have the CNI yet.
Interesting. So something. Maybe it's still pulling, and like that I/O issue.
Yeah, that could be.
Well, if it's saying init, is at that point, yeah. If you describe that pod, we can see if it's pulled it.
Oops. Failed to create sandbox. Failed to reserve sandbox name. I've seen that before. I don't know where this comes from.
I'm curious if I don't know if it's worth
Deadline exceeded. There you go. Failed to create sandbox pod. RPC 8.
Yeah, dude. I think the
it's got to just be a super slow network or a disk.
It is. I think that's exactly what it is.
Weird.
That is strange. I wonder if we're missing some driver or optimization or something. You know,
for the USB. Yeah. Because if I plug this in here, and this is on like a USB 3 hub, can I see my speed? There you go. What is that? PC. Let's just see what this says.
What is this that you're running?
LS USB with all verbosity on it. I wonder
what it's rated for.
Yeah. What is this? This is a SanDisk. There we go. So I see that it's USB 3.2 Gen 1. And so like that, the theoretical on that is like really fast.
I mean, that should be more than enough. I mean, it should be a performance improvement over SD cards for sure.
Yeah, exactly. difference Gen 1, 2, and 3. Go. Why does every website have 18 different pop-ups?
The worst. Are we over the whole like chat thing that pops up? Is that
No, everything still needs chat.
oh,
Okay, so it's USB Gen 2. So it should be 5 gigabits. Is my transfer speed, my max transfer speed throughputs. And I didn't realize, according to this website, Gen 2, oh no, Gen 2 one has USB-A support too. Okay, so that's 10 gigabits. But
yeah, I'm seeing even on well, this is 2014. Do you have the right power?
this one has it has 2 amps, and this is a Pi 4. So it didn't require the 5 amps of the Pi 5.
Okay.
I'm looking at some benchmarks here on. Oh, but see, this isn't throughput.
I mean, just Google searching like Raspberry Pi slow USB. There's, let's see. It's not uncommon for people to.
Well, no, this makes sense though that I guarantee you we don't have USB 3 drivers.
You think so?
In these, I don't, because we have the other USB. Is that default in the kernel though? I don't know.
I would think we do, but I mean, it would take a lot to prove that, I guess. Well, here, let's see.
So if I'm looking at, I just randomly found, this benchmark test. I'm going to put it in the public comments, but USB 3 SSD, which is mostly what they're testing here, is always faster by quite a bit. In some cases, it's like 5 times faster than an SD card, and sometimes more. So there's got to be something we're missing that should enable this.
Yeah.
In any way, like the Pi 5 with PCIe would be faster, right? Like let's just get to that point as well.
Yeah.
But I know there's still a lot here in Pi 4 range that's like, hey, why doesn't this work? Why, where should this be okay? And in both cases, my worker node can't even start a container because it's so slow. I bet, I could do like I could run a system container on, I could create a Raspberry Pi cluster off SD cards, plug in USB, and then run a system container that lets me run some of the benchmarking.
Yeah, you could.
Tools just straight to the disks.
Well,
right?
you need to set up a config in Talos to have it mount. Unless you run all those mount commands directly in that container.
Like the debug command, right? The debug command gives me all of proc or in all of
yeah,
that.
you should be able to mount.
So I should be able to mount it in.
You should. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's like I think that's one of the debugging things I would want to do is like say, okay, I ended up on Jeff's site. Of course I did. The site I listed was of course Jeff's site from a few years ago, from 2019. But that's something that I think that would be worth it just to see like, hey, is this a Talos specific problem? Or is this a Raspberry Pi USB problem? And at this point, my guess is it's a Talos specific problem with these images, and we should just figure out what it is. Yeah, exactly. I think someone's comment is Pi 5 seems to be engineered to use the NVMe SSD, and I think that's right. Like they just want you, they're like, let's get rid of all these SD cards, let's get rid of all these, except for the fact that all the cases don't work with the NVMe hats, which is annoying. Is like once you go NVMe, you can't use all the other things you might want on the Raspberry Pi. So that's a really annoying step in that direction. But anyway, but we did get to the point where
we got
I like debugging that. like, I mean, this is a long stream, but I enjoyed going through that debugging process of thinking I wanted USB, but I actually don't because of that slowness. And then also trying 4 different ways to get a Pi 5 to boot. None of them worked. That's fine. Still trying to figure that side of it out. But this was fun. I did not get my Switch. Oh, and now it's on the floor. So I'm not going to go pick that up. But yeah, so I have some more things to try out, and I might have to go buy some more SD cards. But first, I should just do a full test of speed on a Pi 5, and on a Pi 4, and see what the raw speed numbers show, and then we can verify if we're missing USB, because it could just be USB drivers on the Raspberry Pi, like the controller on here is operating at USB 1 speeds or something, right?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm hoping it's that simple. Hoping it's like, oh yeah, let's just enable this driver.
Drivers on the Raspberry Pi have not been simple, but an extension, right? Like an extension that gives us the layers of USB drivers and network drivers. Maybe that could even let us get rid of U-boot, right? Because then it's like, oh, cool, like we have all the drivers we need in this extension. But you still need the overlay.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot to discover here.
Yeah. All right.
But we got it running, or you got it running.
Well, thanks for jumping on and debugging the other side with me too. I still don't know why that doesn't. Endpoints don't work with Omni.
Yeah, I mean, because Omni is the endpoint,
right? That's your proxy.
I just recall being able to do -E and it would be ignored, or it would still work. I don't know. It feels like maybe validation. At the very least, we should throw an error and say, or ignore it. Say,
or ignore it. Yeah. Hey, this is like,
you don't need -E.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining the stream and checking it out. And we will talk to you again soon. I have two or three streams tomorrow. I think 2. Scale computing's tomorrow. So I gotta finish setting up the cube. I gotta unplug everything now, install that OS on the cube, and we'll get that in the morning. So talk to y'all later.